Hello, it's Jim Hutchins for the Jerusalem Connection Truth Report for this week. Well, today is the first day of the Feast of Tabernacles, so let me say Chag Sameach. And this will go on until the 30th. And this is a day when Jews look back with a memorial to God's provision for them for the 40 years that they were in the desert. They lived in booths and God provided for them. And for Christians, it's an anticipation of Jesus coming and establishing his millennial kingdom. So it is a special holiday. It's the last of the high holidays in the fall. And it's something as we anticipate the coming of the Messiah. Zachariah tells us this, that it will be very important that all nations recognize this. He says this in Zechariah chapter 14, verse 16. Then the survivors, God says, from all the nations that have attacked Jerusalem will go up year after year to worship the King Yahweh Almighty and to celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles. If any of the peoples of earth do not go to Jerusalem to worship the King Yahweh Almighty, they will have no rain. Yahweh will inflict on the nations that do not go up to celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles. So it's a celebration day and days now, but it will be to the max when Messiah comes. But there's a great deal that lies between this day and that day. And Israel's enemies are there to see that they are represented. Matter of fact, this past week, Hassan Nasrallah, who heads Hezbollah, that are positioned in Lebanon, said that, and he addressed Israel directly, and said that boasting that the entire balance of power has changed. Hezbollah has accurate missiles that, if used in any future war, will change the entire equation. That's what Nasrallah says. The Israelis can't imagine their fate if these missiles are used in any future war. Prime Minister Netanyahu responded by saying, if he confronts us, if Nasrallah confronts us, he will receive a crushing blow that he cannot even imagine. Netanyahu stated in response to Nasrallah's boast of accurate missiles. The Prime Minister went on to say, I heard the arrogant words that came from the direction of Hezbollah. This comes from the same man who said after 2006 that if he had known what Israel's response would be to the abduction of 3 of our soldiers, he would have thought twice about doing it. He should think twice, likewise, about unleashing missiles on Israel. So this kind of relationship with Israel's enemies will continue until Messiah comes and establishes his millennial kingdom. And at that time, the Feast of Tabernacles will be acknowledged universally. But as a foreshadowing, Moses wrote of what would take place when God restores. This is from Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 43. He says, rejoice, O nations, with his people. For Yahweh will avenge the blood of his servants. He will take vengeance on his enemies. He will make atonement for his land and his people. So that has to come. And it will come when Messiah comes. And an even more drastic response is given to us in Isaiah. And this kind of response is given throughout the Hebrew Scriptures. For example, in Isaiah 49, verse 25, God says, I will contend with I will contend with those who contend with you. I will make your oppressors eat their own flesh. That's what Yahweh is saying about the enemies of Israel. I will make their oppressors eat their own flesh. They will be drunk on their own blood as with wine. Then all mankind, universally, worldwide, then all mankind will know that I, Yahweh, am your Savior, your Redeemer, and the Mighty One of Jacob. I want to close with this emphasis. While we look forward to a time of rejoicing, the Feast of Tabernacles ahead, this has to transpire before that. That I, Yahweh, am your Savior. The world will know that. I, Yahweh, am your Savior, Redeemer, the Mighty One of Jacob. But wait a minute. I thought Jesus was our Savior. Jesus is our Savior. But Jesus is the incarnation, the fleshly manifestation of Yahweh. Philippians 2:9, God says, I will bestow upon them the greatest of all names. And that name is his own name. He bestows his name upon his Son. So Jesus becomes the manifestation, the fleshly manifestation of Yahweh. Yahweh Yeshua Tenu, Yahweh our salvation, our Jesus. And that is the truth.